Today, let's count down some of my favorite themes from Pokémon. The themes, the music, the soundtrack of Pokémon seem to stick with me more than pretty much any other franchise. Aside from some of my all-time favorite artists, I find myself listening to the music of Pokémon more than anything else, as I relax, study, or exercise. I like to listen to different route or city themes, or different battling character themes, all of which evoke memories about the times that I played through these games and heard these tunes for the first time. So in the spirit of Thanksgiving here in the US and the start of the holiday season worldwide, let's count down stuff that I'm very thankful for. 10 of my all-time favorite compositions from the main series of Pokémon. Kicking this off with the only super energetic theme on this list, and really the only battle theme. I found that surprising, but I guess I prefer the more atmospheric themes. Anyway, this tune just hits. I honestly wasn't a fan of Generation 5's battle theme when they first came out, which I found kinda jittery and all over the place. This theme is no exception, with its really complex bass line and leading horn sounds that jump between different melodies super quickly. None of them last more than 10 or 15 seconds, and that can really take you out of it. However, I think it works excellently for what they're trying to encapsulate here. This is the Pokémon World Tournament, a massive collection of the Pokémon World's best trainers, and for the franchise, it's a celebration. It's a capstone of the 2D era of Pokémon. So having this battle theme jump between so many different melodies to reflect the wide mix of opponents in the tournament feels perfect. It feels like a mashup of so many different battle themes. There are moments in this theme that sound jumpy and anxiety-inducing, perfectly putting you in the place of a young trainer going head-to-head with actual Pokémon masters. And then there are build-ups to epic swelling synth melodies that capture the feeling of that celebration so perfectly. It feels futuristic and nostalgic all at the same time. It might not be the most iconic by far, but to me it's the definitive battle theme of the franchise. So many of Pokemon's greatest themes strike one particular emotion, like the Dread and Cyrus battle theme, or the Happiness in Castelia City's theme. However, I love the soundtrack to Meteor Falls for the opposite reason. It's ambiguous. It has one main trumpet carrying the melody, which sweeps between very high and very low tones. This variation, complete with those cascading background strings, really evokes a sense of mystery for this dungeon. It's not outright scary, nor is it celebratory. It's simply conveying to the player that there's a mystery to be found here, and it's entirely up to them to find out what's going on. Pressing further into dark unknown areas and encountering strange new Pokemon to learn the myths of the Hoenn region. Your fate as a trainer is in your own hands. And I love how this theme really tells us that through a light air of intrigue it provides. It feels like the perfect soundtrack to a solo expedition for these reasons, and it really makes me nostalgic for the early days of Pokémon, where so much of your adventure was left guarded behind sprawling dungeons, left for you to seek out all on your own. This is definitely the weirdest placement on this list, and you might be shocked that I'm about to include this over so many battle themes, but I love the Gate theme because of its simplicity. It's a really simple drum beat with some light keys. Its melody is chill, it melts into the background so easily. By all intents, it could be elevator, airport, or waiting room music in real life. But that's why it's so special to me. Pokémon is a franchise very much centered around dramatic moments. The next big battle, the villain team, the legendary. Much of your gameplay experience is built around preparing for them. So I love that there's a piece of the soundtrack tied to a location that feels so relaxing in the most mundane way. It's just a gate. There's so many of them that you pass through in Unova, and they all kinda look the same. But this theme teaches us that it's okay to appreciate these small moments, those everyday locations, because you can still find joy in them. Instead of holding down the B button and running right through to your next obstacle, why not take a minute, talk to the gate receptionist, check on the weather on the bulletin board, and heal your party. This soundtrack adds so much to the experience of being in those gates, having a tangible, separate area to refuel from your journey, and a place to learn to appreciate the moment. How can you not love Ecruteak City? This theme probably matches its location better than any other soundtrack in the entire franchise. That intro section alone gives me chills every time. How those Asian string instruments completely allude to the historic town of Ecruteak, and all of the rich mythology found here, from the brass to the bell towers. I absolutely love the use of those Eastern instruments. It still blows me away to this day that they created such a rich composition on a DS game. However, once it introduces us to the location with that instrumentation, it settles into a more low-key middle section, with a mix of those strings and a light wind section that has a lot of the same ambiance as a lot of other tracks in Johto, and they're made special because of that sense of nostalgia. And not even the nostalgia as a kid who grew up with these games in real life. I mean nostalgia in universe. This theme conveys to us a heavy sense of emotion and memory. It would have been all too easy for them to make a theme that just says, this is a historic town inspired by feudal Japan, but instead they show us that all the characters and inhabitants of Ecruteak and the world of Johto also feel that deep sense of emotion like we do. There's a heavy sense of history, longing, and remembrance. These strings and these winds almost feel ethereal, like we're daydreaming about the past. The world becomes so much richer when we embrace these musical elements. It teaches us that locations like Ecruteak are sacred, and I love that. This is another weird inclusion from Black and White, because it's again kind of inconsequential. After all, it's a location that you walk through once for about a minute or two. However, I also think it's one of those themes just enhanced by how much it complements the location. You descend into the tunnel and it explodes into this rich composition of snares and really memorable leading melodies. Layered with these background key sounds that float by and feel kinda watery. Like you're in the tunnel and you're watching a beautiful school of water Pokemon float by. Maybe you've come to the Marine Tube because you're curious about the strange underwater life of Frillish and Jellicent, or maybe you're in awe at the true size of a whalelord swimming by. Plus, the Marine Tube is entirely realistic. It's just a big aquarium after all. We have those in real life. So hearing the Marine Tube theme really makes me feel the same way I do when I'm at an aquarium, a zoo, museum, or a state park. And I find some aspect of the natural world that grabs my attention and my curiosity. This theme really reminds us of the awe that we feel when we find these locations in Pokemon, and we find beauty in the discovery process, the science of Pokemon, one that can be extended into the real world. You've just begun the first leg of your journey in Sinnoh, venturing through the tall grass and fighting hard to get a break from all the wild Pokemon. Finally, you come across the shimmering lights of Jubilife, and you feel at home. This theme reminds me of the leisure of the Pokemon experience. Everything from its soft keys to the incredible saxophone riffs in the night version of this theme. It evokes a sense of happiness, like no matter how hard your journey is, you'll always come across a place like Jubilife, one where you can rest up and where the people are always nice, even if it's a big city you've never been to. You'll be okay, because counting on those around you is enough. The Pokemon world is so idealistic, and this theme evokes that feeling. It shows us that this is a world where you can always count on the kindness of strangers you find on your journey, even in a vast city like Jubilife, because they'll always welcome you and help you out before you head back out into the wild. As someone who grew up playing Diamond and Pearl, and who grew up in a major city, Jubilife fills me with so many warm feelings for all these reasons. This is it. You've fought so hard, and now you can see the finish line. This is the definitive anthem to that feeling. I always loved how we get a brand new theme exclusively for the Gym Leader's last Pokemon, but it feels so right. After all, this is a big moment in your Pokemon journey. Why not have an epic soundtrack to remember it by? I love how it interpolates the classic gym theme that we've known since Generation 1, and it blares it with these epic football stadium-like horns for the whole region to hear. That middle section is great too. The notes get higher and higher. As if this is the climactic moment. You have one shot to take out the Gym Leader's last Pokemon, and your team is ready to give it its all. Small themes like this go far to flesh out the world of Pokemon, and they give us soundtracks to remember it by without being overly sentimental or dramatic. It just strikes the right notes. Literally. I love this theme for all the reasons I love the Meteor Falls one, but multiplied tenfold. Those cascading piano notes and lightly pulsing strings tell you all you need to know. This is a relaxing location. A beautiful lake close to your hometown where you start your journey. But it holds so much more than meets the eye. It'll be up to you, the trainer, to seek out those mysteries on your journey through Sinnoh. That's reflected through the composition slowly building in complexity, speeding up in its middle section but never telling you how to feel. It's simply alluding to the sense of mystery in a much wider world that accompanies being a true Pokemon trainer. I have fond memories of my first journey when I was 7 years old, placing my character right alongside the shores of the lake as I saw my reflection of my sprite in the water. This soundtrack swelled, and it made me feel so contemplative. To be able to translate that feeling, a longing for discovery, to kids through song is incredibly powerful. When I think atmospheric in Pokemon, this is the song. Obviously, this is yet another location theme that just feels perfect. Those muted tones that define the early part of this composition perfectly capture the sound and feeling of walking through freshly fallen snow. The tempo of the beat capturing the slow but steady pace of a winter expedition. However, my love for the theme runs deeper. When I first played Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, I was lost in Mount Coronet for what felt like days. I remember playing this game late at night. It must have been around midnight, and I finally found a curious exit, where I emerged into this bright, beautiful winter landscape unlike anything I had ever seen. It was new, it was exciting and triumphant. It was a breakthrough moment for 7-year-old me, and it taught me that even the toughest paths are worth it, because there's something new and rewarding at the end of it. That's how this theme feels to me. The beginning is simple, slow, it's a grind to get through, just like those deep snowbanks on the route. But as the snow falls harder and harder, the complexity picks up, and you find yourself engrossed in the journey, ready to push forward with whatever's next. This is an underrated classic that took me years to fully appreciate, so there's no nostalgic attachment here. However, it somehow makes me feel more nostalgic than any other Pokemon soundtrack. It gives me a feeling in my chest I can't quite describe. The pianos that lead off this track are soft, sentimental, before the string sounds really pick us up and swell to an emotional point. They make us reflect on the journey we've gone through and all the emotions that come with it. Again, ambiguous. It's about many things. It's about the sadness of leaving home, it's about the triumph of growing up, finding new friends and changing as a person, the pride that goes into a Pokemon journey, but also the homesickness, the struggles, the frustration. It's about the fear of the unknown, and the love for beautiful things. It feels emotionally rich in a way that most other video game soundtracks aren't. And it really did take me until my adult life to realize this about the National Park theme. A theme that, for a location that's very minor and unassuming, not attached to any emotion or narrative within the game itself. As an adult, I realized the meaning and emotion I find in this theme comes from within, like I described. And the ending, where the drums kick in and we get some guitar action, I can't find a more Pokemon feeling than this. That triumphant swell, that sense of energy while still being emotional really moves me. It reminds me of why I love Pokemon, why I find myself so wrapped up in this world, where it becomes more so about the journey, the discovery, and the learning process, and the imagination that goes along with it all much more than the destination. This theme, as abstract as it sounds, is probably the best way to describe my love for the franchise from an adult perspective, and why it's my all-time favorite Pokemon theme. So those are 10 of my all-time favorite Pokemon soundtracks, and ones that I wanted to highlight to give my thanks for on this Thanksgiving week. I hope you have a great start to the holiday season however you celebrate, and I'll be back next week for a very special Pokemon art episode, where I brainstorm a brand new type. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.